Dr. Jones, your work is a lot like Dr. Warren's, where you dive into stress reduction and cardiovascular health among midlife African American women. Can you talk a little bit more about what you do and how you have been able to develop interventions to connect with the group that you are an advocate for?
Yes, and you're right. Dr. Warren she stole my thunder.
Now, is that what happened to Spike?
All right, now take some deep breaths.
But for my work, yes, I have leaned in a lot in community participatory work, and those types of strategies. And what I found has been the best way to create an intervention for a population that you're interested in, to make it more authentic and relevant for them. So for myself, one of the first things I did, even when my idea for intervention was just an idea, was reach out to an existing community research advisory board. So I partnered with them early on, and that partnership continues to exist. So they were there throughout the entire process. Then, in addition to that, just getting involvement with midlife Black women from the community at every stage as well. A lot of what I learned and helped to evolve and helped me to conceptualize the intervention came from qualitative work, focus groups that involve midlife Black women, just talking about a lot of the stressors that Dr. Warren alluded to. They were able to share their stories. And that was very instrumental in helping us to develop a framework. In particular, they share stories and their lived experiences, especially around the societal stressors, societal expectations. Those were especially poignant for me. And so that had to be built into the intervention so that we could target those stressors and help them to help themselves. Yes. So those were some of the key things that got me started. And then as we moved on and started to develop, we started to develop the materials for the intervention and the content for the intervention. So then we had, again, midlife women from the community, not necessarily the same women, to look at the the materials. And provide us feedback, especially, feedback regarding the cultural relevance. Is this even relevant to me? Does it even feel like it's talking about anything that I'm worried about or concerned about? So that was also, that was important. And then finally, and this is a process because it's community participatory and community engaged, this is a multi-year process. It takes a lot. It's a lot easier if I just say, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to do it. Right. And, so it happens over time. Hopefully that's what is relevant to you because that's what I did. So I'm the expert, so this is what I say is going to happen. But no, this was over a course of several years. And then in the end, when we finally had it together, I invited some of the women to help me to deliver the intervention. So that also added to it, I think, helping the women to feel comfortable, to making it feel authentic, and that it was relevant to them. So it was for them, by them, and completely involved from beginning to end.
What you're doing is very impressive as well and very necessary. And we're celebrating Women's History Month. And so being that you are doing so much for women, you mentioned that you were working with other organizations in the community to bring about this research. You also mentioned that there was a question of cultural relevance. What are some of the biggest things that you've learned from working with women who may have skepticism or hesitation with participating in such a process like this?
Right. So I think one of the primary things that I did when I started to go out in the community was I made sure that any of the flyers, any of the literature that was going out there had my face on it. And that I identified myself as an African American nurse scientists
Okay.
doing this research. And then also the engagement from the Community Research Advisory Board, which was men and women who helped to guide me. And, they would, suggest places where I should go and other partners that I could be involved with.
Okay.
So that was also helpful. And it was interesting that the men also they had very good insight, and they were often very upset with me that that I was only doing research on women.
Yes.
But I have to tell them, as Dr. Warren will attest to, once you have the head of the household and the board, everything follows.
Yes,
so
exactly.
that it's instilled in the children, and is getting out to the rest of the family. But I still owe the men some research. But that was one of the things, and I just learned that just engaging. It was I probably learned. Honestly, I know this sounds like a cliche, but I learned as much from them, if not more, than they probably learned from me.
Okay.
The intervention itself is actually a group intervention, and it's just so phenomenal to sit back and watch the women interact with one another and tell their stories and then support one another. And so it was very important for them to see and hear others who have gone through their similar experiences, who are experiencing the same things, and then now struggling with, prospects of heart disease, or the precursors to heart disease, like high blood pressure and diabetes, pre-diabetes, and and figuring out how can they really continue to do all the things that they do, and also make strides in their healthy lifestyle, become healthier in their lifestyle and their behaviors.
Exactly. Well, speaking of similar experiences, what would be your biggest advice to those who may want to do research like yourself in identifying how to connect and how to bring a group that might not be at first initially interested in undergoing an intervention?
So advice for people who want to undergo, who may not want to be involved in intervention.
Well, advice for the people who might want to do the research.
Who might want to do the research. Oh, yes. Well, yes. To just show up.
Okay.
Right? To show up and I attended as I started to engage with the Community Research Advisory Board, I attended their meetings, even if it wasn't about my research.
Okay.
If they had activities that they were doing, if they were doing a health fair, I'll come and take blood pressures. If I will. So just to be there, and then and to show up and so that they know that you are genuine.
Yes.
And that you're invested in their community and in their health, and that you have a true, honest interest in their well-being. So that's the biggest thing, and to not be impatient.
Okay.
Because it does definitely take more time.
Okay.
But if you don't see the problem through the lens of the population that you're looking at, then you'll just miss all that work that you done will be useless.
Right.
So you have to see it from the lens of those women or men or whomever your population.
Well, we are celebrating Women's History Month, so it's okay. We love men, but yes. Okay. So then, on the flip side, what would be your advice to the women who may be skeptical, as opposed to the researchers? What would be your advice to the people who probably could use going through an intervention, or I won't say use, but may find it beneficial or helpful to them, but may be a bit hesitant? What would you say to individuals like that?
Yeah, just to learn everything that you can about what you're being invited to participate in, and ask questions. So my interest in my research came from clinical practice. I'm an advanced practice nurse, and this just followed me all through the journey of the importance of midlife care. Because I'm planning to live until I'm hoping this is truly midlife, and you have another half to go. But just to learn, and so another aspect of our intervention is that there is some health literacy. So we're, increasing their awareness, increasing their knowledge about that particular health problem.
Okay.
So that they are learning about that. And then that helps them to empower them to actually, when they go see their healthcare provider, that they can ask questions, that they feel empowered to do that. Because oftentimes that person is not going to be, of the same race or maybe even the same gender. And so they may feel intimidated. But the more they know, the more empowered that they feel.
Right.
So I'm hoping that I'm also helping them when they come through work with me, that they will still continue to be interested and do more.
Yes.